And, there was a moment where I was playing defense against Cade and he went to the hole and I got elbowed in the face, like the first possession.
Flagrant elbow.
That was, a welcome to NBA moment.
What's up, Piston fans? It's your boy Flagrant Elbow back with another one. Thank you all for checking out the channel. We got some news to talk about with this one. Some news involving our #1 pick, Cade Cunningham, and also some news with regards conversations with Nerlens Noel as far as trade talks and agreeing to a separation, and also some of the other veteran players we have that are drawing a lot of interest around the league, and what we have an idea of what the Pistons may be looking to do with regards to moving them, if they're going to move them at all. So some good conversations with the good things to talk about in this video, and let me know in the comments how you feel about it, the things discussed, especially with Cade. Let me know how you feel about it. And Piston fans, we striving, we thriving. The team looks like the chemistry is being built, and it looks like they're developing that dog. It may not turn out to be a win every game, but they are definitely putting that fight in and leaving it all on the court, giving it their all, especially the game against the Lakers. Too much to handle, though, between LeBron and AD, but Bojan did his best to do it all on his own, and he got a little help from Ivy as well, but Bojan did his best. But we just hope the Pistons can continue to show that fight. It may not turn into a win every game, but definitely want to see that fight in them. So, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. We're going to get into the news. Once again, want to thank you for checking out the channel. Thank you all for 637 subscribers. And don't forget to check out the merch link in the description. Let's go ahead and get into this video. All right, so from the way it's looking, Cade Cunningham has decided to go ahead and have that surgery on his shin. It's believed that he has a stress line fracture in his left shin, which has been causing him some pain since preseason and has kept him out of these games here lately. He was trying to rest it up, thinking that it would possibly heal on its own by not putting the wear and tear of the everyday games on him and the practices and just taking it easy. But that doesn't seem to be working. It seems like the best scenario and idea will be to go ahead and rest it up, lock down for the season, shut it down, and just get it some rest. And how do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments. How I feel about it, of course, I'd rather see Cade play. He's the #1 pick. This is his second season, even though it seems like he's been here 3 years, like the other young pieces of the young core that we have mostly. But Cade has definitely shown what he's going to do, what he's going to be. He's shown, and my thing is this, there's been arguments starting the season off that Cade was kind of slacking, taking it easy a little bit. And it kind of makes sense. If your shin's hurt, you don't have that boost. You don't have that push, that energy. Pain in your lower body is a big time thing. Your foot, your shins. I've had shin splints several times. Never had a fracture. But when your shins hurt, man, you can't move and do and play like you want to play. So that may be a reason why he was dealing with some of the looking like his play was a little too laid back, walking up the court. The man's in pain, so that's a good reason for him not to have been exerting himself like I felt he should have, like many others felt he should have. But it still didn't affect his game to the point to where he couldn't turn it on when he needed to turn it on. He still was going out there and showing that he could still be that dog that we drafted. So it was a lot of promises being shown by Cade, but he seemed to be struggling early on. Maybe I thought it was maybe the weight, and maybe the weight had an issue with the fracture, carrying the extra weight, that extra load on his frame. But regardless of the case, I'm okay with him shutting down. This gives Killian an opportunity to be the man at the lead position, the point guard position. It also gives Ivy an opportunity to develop into who he's going to be and to learn the game while giving him more minutes on the floor. I think this is more important for Killian because Killian really has just started to figure it out. He just started to figure it out. A lot of us were calling for Killian to be traded. And if you look at Killian right now, I'm glad we didn't trade him. I'm glad we didn't get rid of him. I'm glad they gave him the extension. All of these things have seemed to work in his favor, and all of a sudden he seems to be figuring it out. People learn at different paces. People get things at different paces, at different levels, and different times. And I think he's really now just getting it. Figuring out what that dog is, how to get that dog in him, how to play with that dog, that chip. And he's figuring out too that he can compete in this league. Killian has been awesome this last month and a major factor in the wins that the Pistons have had. His defense has always been there, but even more so, he's got that toughness with him now and that grit, and you can start to see it come out. It took him a while. It took him these 3 years to figure it out, but he had the injury and all of that going on. But the thing about it is, right now is the best case scenario for him to continue with his development. The best case scenario for him was for somebody to go down in the injury and he have to be forced out there, threw out in that fire. Or the best case scenario would have been for him to be traded somewhere and somebody else some other team and city would have reaped the benefits of Killian coming there and probably finally figuring it out, especially if they would have force fed him too, put him out there on that floor. So if he's with him staying here in Detroit, this was the best thing to happen to him. High draft pick, couldn't figure it out, 3 seasons, fans getting on him, and finally, boom, that light bulb goes off. And when that light bulb goes off, he gets an opportunity to be put in a situation where he has no choice but to go ahead and perform now. And it's best that he did, because now he gets it. He finally gets it. So to me, best case scenario for Killian Hayes. Best case scenario. And having him come off the bench when Cade does come back is going to make this team extremely, extremely deep. Extremely deep. There will be no let off the gas pedal when the bench comes in, with Killian playing off the bench and with Cade coming back to start. So this turns out to be a good thing. Cade can go ahead and get 100% healthy, should be ready by training camp next season, and Killian gets to go ahead and fully learn and marinate his skills, so that by the time it's, the thing about it is, we can't forget the fact that we weren't looking for the Pistons to be winners this season. The Pistons still were going to be a team in development, retooling in development, and we're just trying to build chemistry and an identity this season. You don't have to win a bunch of games this season. We'll be in the lottery again next season. And that's fine, because 1, we'll have money for free agency. 2, another opportunity to get a high draft pick. And 3, the draft picks that we've got this season, Ivy and Nerlens, will have a season under their belt. So Pistons are looking to turn things around a lot sooner than later. And that kind of takes us right into our next points that we're going to talk about. But with Cade, that's a good thing for Killian. It's a good thing for Cade to get healthy, and it gives time for Ivy too to learn the game, learn how to slow it up, how to speed it, learn how he can dominate, when he can dominate, and that he can compete in this league. And it's not just based on his speed. You got to be smart. So Ivy will be thrown in the fire too, and this will give him a lot of opportunity to learn the game and soak up as much as he can in this season. So good case scenario all the way around. We all hope Cade hurries up and get healthy. So now, going into the next point. Phone calls are ringing. People are talking about Nerlens Noel. Teams are talking about Nerlens. Teams are talking about Bojan. Teams are talking about Alec Burks. What are the Pistons going to do? We're going to get into that. Just once again, want to thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. leave a comment. Let me know what you think so far. How do you feel about Cade? And let me know at the end of the video how you feel about the rest of the content. But thank you all for tuning in. It's your boy Flagrant Elbow. Let's go ahead and get into the next part. So the next part comes from an article by James L. Edwards of The Athletic. And this article he put out was talking about Nerlens Noel and how teams have been looking to take him from the Pistons. And from what sources say, it looks like Nerlens and the Pistons have agreed to part ways. And that's fine. That makes sense. Nerlens hasn't played, hasn't contributed. And even when he was out there with the Pistons, he just didn't look... I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed. Now, he has a ticket of $9.2 million, I believe, on him to be paid this season. So it may be a little difficult, especially to trade him 1-for-1. Some type of package deal may have to be put together to move Nerlens, or he may need to be bought out. But people are interested in Nerlens. I guess teams that have shown the most interest, according to James L. Edwards III, are Portland, Sacramento, Miami, and Dallas. Have been looking to get the 28-year-old player off the Pistons. And he's only averaged 1.8 points this season and 3.2 rebounds. He's only played in 6 games. Casey says he's been one of those players that's you break the glass in the emergency and get Nerlens out. And even when he came out, I really wasn't that impressed. He's got the height, but his size, he doesn't have the mass, to me, to be effective. But, you know, he is known as a rim protector, and maybe he'll do somebody some good. 28 years old. So the Pistons are kind of loaded. We got 3 front court players, Beef Stew, Marvin Bagley, and Jalen Duren, who they're still developing. And Nerlens really didn't have a chance to crack that rotation, except for when Bagley went out and Duren was out. You've seen a little bit of Noel get in there, but not too much flash shown by him, and nothing to write home about. So they've agreed to part ways, so we'll stay tuned and see what happens if the Pistons decide to move him or what, with the upcoming trade deadline coming up in February. So with other players that teams are interested in, Bojan Bogdanovic has continued to receive phone calls by multiple NBA teams, and why not? Bojan's knocking down 3 at a career high scoring this season. Great leadership. He's added to the Pistons, and the ability to take over games, as we've seen against the Lakers. So some of the teams that's interested in Bojan is the Lakers themselves, and a couple of other teams have shown interest. And no doubt these are contending teams that are looking to make a run for a championship. And Bojan's one of those players, man. You kind of got to have a Bojan on your team. You got to have a Bojan on this team. He just signed an extension with the Pistons, and the Pistons would, in my opinion, and according to what the article's saying, the Pistons aren't necessarily looking to move him. The ticket has to be right, but you figure the Pistons are looking to turn a corner between now and next season, really. Not 3-4 years away. They're looking to do something. Next season, they're looking to be able to make some noise. How much noise, remains to be seen. Of course, they won't be looking to be a championship team next season. But next season, I think the playoffs is the goal. The playoffs is the goal. So with the price tag that you got Bojan on, the Pistons aren't necessarily looking to move him just to get rid of a salary. They're going to have money next season. And they have a player in Bojan that they like a lot. His veteranship, his leadership, all of that helps out the team, this young team. So Bojan's a guy that the Pistons aren't necessarily, you got to call with the right price. And I understand that, and I'm totally for that. Another player is Alec Burks. Same thing with Burks. He's got a 10.5 option next season. He's shooting a career best, 58.8% shooting. And Burks is one of those players that he's like Bojan. The price got to be right to get rid of Burks. Burks is a player that the Pistons could look to keep too. Why not? You get rid of Burks, what other player in the league are you going to get that's giving you what Burks is giving you? Off the bench. Look at the bench's production when Burks started back playing. The bench production, we started leading the league. Burks come in giving you 16, 15, 13, 18, 20. Burks comes in the game and he's giving you points, giving you buckets. He's getting to the free throw line, shooting a nice three-point percentage. So Burks is a player like Bojan that we don't necessarily have to get rid of. We don't have to get rid of Bojan. We don't have to get rid of Burks. So it's interesting to see what the Pistons do. The only reason I think you get rid of Bojan is you get a player that can spell him from the starting lineup and that has the ability to score like him. Doesn't necessarily have to be a spot up 3-point shooter with the best 3-point percentage as him. But man, if you can get somebody that can create and not turn the ball over like Bojan does, you hate to see him put it on the floor. But if you can get somebody that can create a true 3-and-D, that can create his own shot, then you may move him. I know teams are talking about Kuzma. Kuzma's looking to get out, looking to leave. So in my opinion, man, if you could do something to work that out, and Kuzma get out there and run and can create his shot and can take a game over, that might be an option. I don't know if the money matches up, but that might be an option. But that's just my opinion. Another player that the teams are actually looking at is Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey found himself being the odd man out of rotation as a starter, but he's coming off the bench and he's doing pretty good coming off the bench when he's aggressive. When he's not aggressive, he's just another body on the floor. So Saddiq is one of those guys that can be the odd man out. But when he's aggressive, you're glad he's on the team. But sometimes he just disappears. And maybe he just has to figure it out too. Maybe it's taking him a little longer, but when he's aggressive, he can really be fantastic. He can get you some points, and he can really do something for the team. But it's not a confidence thing with him, but I think it's just that he's one of those guys. He's not the most athletic, but he's strong enough to hold his own. But he's a liability defensively sometimes against some of the better and faster and more agile threes that's out there. But coming off the bench, he has an opportunity to come in and play against the opposing team's second unit, and he can dominate if he just takes over. But sometimes he doesn't do that. So he could find himself being more susceptible to being traded than Burks or Bojan. But like I said, if the price is right, all of those guys will be, the Pistons no doubt will look at making a move or getting rid of one or all three of them. Depends on how things shape up. So that's the news that I wanted to report. Thank you all for hanging out, sticking with me again. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out the merch link in the description. With that being said, that's all I had for today. Thank you all for tuning in to your boy, Flagrant Elbow. Everybody, stay safe.